we might move on now. So I should introduce myself. Welcome. My name is Susie Ho, and I'm the course coordinator for the Master of Environment and Sustainability. I'm really excited that you're here. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your passion for sustainability. Whether you're interested in sustainability from a corporate angle, more governance and policy, more international development, more science, more leadership, there are opportunities and options in this course to suit everyone. And today we're going to give you an insight into the course structure and all the options it provides. But also we're just going to have some discussions with the fabulous people who are around me, who are going to introduce themselves to you in a sec. But before that, we'd like to know a little bit about you. So we're going to get you to raise your hand in response to this question. So raise your hand if you're joining us from interstate, so somewhere outside of Victoria in Australia. We've got anyone? One or two? Yeah, fantastic. Welcome to you. And is there anyone calling in today from another country, whether that's Brazil or Poland, Vietnam, anywhere from elsewhere around the world? Got a few?
We've got one so far.
Oh, well, special one. We appreciate you calling in particular. All right, so fantastic. We've got a bit of a diverse group of people with us today, but I'm willing to bet that you do, wherever you're from, share something in common. You are like-minded in that you're probably quite future conscious and you're interested in transforming society through sustainable solutions. And we want to talk to you about this course, which we think provides a lot of opportunities to develop skills and knowledge in that area. So now I want you to get to know the wonderful people around me today, our esteemed panel. And so I'm going to ask them to briefly, in 2 to 3 minutes, tell you who they are and why they're passionate about sustainability and the course. So Wendy, could we start with you?
Hi, thanks Susie, and welcome everyone. So my name is Wendy Stubbs. I've been teaching and research in the area of sustainability for many years. I coordinate 3 of these specialisations: the corporate specialisation, environment and governance, and the international development specialisation. I worked in the business sector for many years before I came into the university. And I think there's this conception that business is a big contributor to many of our big or wicked sustainability issues, environmental degradation, greenhouse gas emissions that causes climate change, inequalities, the gap between the rich and the poor is growing, exacerbated by businesses' relentless focus on maximising profits. So I think from my perspective, business has a huge part to play in finding these solutions and working collaboratively towards a sustainable society, and that really is what motivates me.
Thanks, Wendy. Justin.
Hello, I'm Justin. So I come from a marketing and communications background. So I did my bachelor's here at Monash in public relations, followed by a master's business in marketing, and then spent 5 years working in the professional environment as a brand manager, which was very fulfilling, but also challenging, as I found that there was a bit of a tension between what I found as my personal beliefs and what I was actually doing as my professional day-to-day job, which is where my interest in sustainability stemmed from. So I started the course part-time, trying to balance work at the same time, and now I'm in my final semester. It's come around very quickly, and I'm doing the corporate specialisation.
Beautiful. Thank you, Justin. Over to you, Rosie.
Hi, I'm Rosie. I did a science biology undergraduate degree, and I love science. I was good at it, but I just didn't know exactly where I fit in the science world. So I ended up not working straight away. I wasn't really sure, so I decided to go travelling, and I've travelled for probably nearly 3 years through Europe.
Good.
And that's actually where I developed my passion for sustainability, because I was never sure how to integrate my love for people and my love for science. And then I came across this master's and I saw the leadership specialisation and I was like, I've got people, I've got science, and yeah, so that's how I got onto this course.
degree. I didn't know some of that. Yeah. Over to you, Beck.
Hi, so my name's Beck. I came straight out of high school and went straight into a bachelor's degree here at Monash, where I did Bachelor of Science and majored in, oh gosh, what did I major in? That was a long time ago now. Plant sciences and ecology and conservation biology. And then conveniently, when my bachelor's degree was coming to an end, the master's degree was conveniently just starting up at that time. So I decided to go straight into the Master's in Environment Sustainability and specialise in environmental security. And throughout the whole time, I've had a deep passion for conservation, in particular biodiversity and protecting the environment from invasive species. And yeah, that's about me.
Fantastic. And myself, I have a background in freshwater ecology and environmental water management. And I'm passionate about sustainability and the course because I think it develops boundary spanning capacity as well as a specialised area of expertise. And, when I go to UN events, when I go into governance, I know that people who can work across sectors and disciplines are those who have a better chance of making change, which for me is really important. So, wonderful people on the panel. My next question to you is, whether it's small or large, what key skills do you think that you've developed in the course or deliver in the course? Which key skills do you think are important for your career or for future change agents in general? Are there any that are highlights to you?
I think that probably one of the biggest things for me personally is the interdisciplinary nature about the course in general, because I found that, especially coming from a science background, I found that I didn't particularly have a good understanding of, for example, some of the social science and the governance and the business aspects of environmental sustainability that you just don't get from learning from a science degree. And I think that being able to expand your perspective, and be able to realise that every little gadget sort of thing needs to connect in order to make the cog turn. And it's, yeah.
I definitely agree with that. One aspect of many of the units that I've really appreciated is the self-reflection. Some have assignments based on that, but you're encouraged a lot to reflect on what you've actually learnt and you as a person in your development. And something I've never really done before, but I need to continue to work on that, and that's helped me a lot. Yeah. It's a particular skill, yeah.
As a young leader.
Yeah, as a young leader.
Yeah, thanks, Ruth. How about you, Justin?
I would say, despite coming from a communication background, I actually think communication has been a big developmental area for me, largely because I'm not from a science background. So being in a position where I want to influence people in the business space, I have to try and translate complex scientific information into something that's understandable, but also something that's going to be persuasive. And that's something that's been challenging, but also helped me develop as a more confident, sustainability professional.
Yeah. So I think to supplement those skills, I think some of the things we aim to do, we try and make this very implied, so it's very hands-on. It's not theoretical knowledge that you can't use in your future careers and so on. So we're really trying to give you some of the tools, some of the toolkits, for example, like environmental impact assessments, like some of the tools around how do we measure, organisations' sustainability impacts, how is that communicated or reported to key stakeholders, and so on. So really trying to give you some hands-on so you can actually apply it to really prepare you to go into organisations and implement programs, drive change, share your passion.
Absolutely.
And coupled with that, I think in almost every one of my subjects, I'm not sure about you guys, but there have been people from industry who actually come and speak. So it actually shows you that, yes, these are things that people do really use.
Absolutely. And that applied hands-on aspect really comes through in the last part of the course as well, where we have capstone units that, you might be working with industry, you might be working with researchers, but it's really authentic. That's fantastic.
I think many of the people that are in the Masters itself are from the industry anyway, so it's just great to network with everyone and use their connections.
That's true. Within the cohort and within the educators.
Exactly.
Team. Yeah, that's a really nice thing. All right, I've got one more question for you guys before we move on to the nuts and bolts section, and that is, who is this course for?
Everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So to nuance that a little, if I may. In the cohort currently, we've got sort of some people put it as sort of mini UN fields. So we do have students from 30 different countries, those who've been working for, upwards of 20 years in a different career, who are changing and swapping into something new and exciting and meaningful for them. We've got people straight out of undergraduate, people working in sustainability who are part-time in the course. And so we've got everyone from different backgrounds, and I think that really enriches the experience. We have people from all disciplinary backgrounds as well. So, whether it's medicine or fashion or science, there are opportunities to move into the specialisation you want. And just to make it clear, you don't have to have a science background to be in this course.
I can attest to that. That was a big concern of mine.
Or to teach into it.
That's right. It's very much a collaboration across many faculties here. Fantastic. All right. What I'd love to do now, if it's all right with everyone, is move into the nuts and bolts of the course. And we've just got some slides. Thank you, Justin, for popping those up. So I really want to give you a bit of a taste of the course. We only have a short time together, so I'm going to try and be quite concise in overviewing, in particular, the course structure and really what you need to know to apply. But just to put a caveat to that, for more information, look online. There's all kinds of resources. If you show me, okay, beautiful. How do I click? Okay, I'll do this. Thank you. So just search for the Master of Environment and Sustainability website. That provides a really neat, easy to read summary of the course, and we have beautiful videos from current students down the bottom. And that's what the website looks like up on screen. And yeah. Or go to Monash handbook for this course, which is more the technical nuts and bolts of the requirements and all the details of the units you can choose from. So they're great resources. And of course, also feel free to email me, get in touch if you have any queries at all. All right, so why is this degree important? As you well know, we're in a period of unprecedented environmental, economic and social change, and the rate of change is increasing. And so we need new solutions, we need new innovations, and people like you, those people who, yes, have an area of disciplinary expertise in arts, communications, science, business, economics, fashion, human behaviour and psychology, almost anything. And they're going to layer that and deepen that in this course, including getting those communication skills, negotiation skills, and integration skills, so you can bring knowledge and people together across different sectors, across different disciplines to find those new interesting solutions. And again, at the UN Climate Change Conference, I found really clearly that people and organisations that were able to have that boundary spanning capacity and awareness of different sectors were people that were valued and organisations that were doing well. And I really see that boundary spanning capacity as being important to the workforce of the future. So in this course, we'd love you to build transferable boundary spanning skills for your career, plus your disciplinary expertise, because we feel the complex problems of our time require you to have both these areas. And we feel these skills together will enable you to collaborate across traditional boundaries to solve complex problems relating to things like climate, poverty, water security, energy, social good, corporate, or working across the nexus between some of these. All right, so this degree develops the skills and knowledge so that you can design and implement actions to better understand, predict, mitigate and adapt to global change, whether you're more focused on the economy, the environment, society, or integrating the three. And as we briefly alluded to, who will be teaching you? An army of people from across the university. So the course is built on Monash University's research strengths across all areas of environment and sustainability, across disciplines. and a network of our associated partners like the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network and the EPA, organisations like that. So you do get access to Monash experts and their partners from all faculties like business, economics, art, science, and the Monash Sustainable Development Institute. And you can actually choose a specialisation within one of these hubs, while also, as we mentioned, kind of learning across them. So you can specialise in environmental security, international development, or leadership, or a couple like Rosie has done, really choosing those specialisations that speak to you, that allow you to tailor the course to your needs and your own personal, academic and professional goals, but also getting that foundation that cuts across them, which I really like. All right, and who is this course for? As we mentioned earlier, this is from students from any disciplinary background, almost. So things like medicine to engineering to marketing to journalism and arts. Entry is based upon a 60% credit average in your previous undergraduate or master's degree. And almost any bachelor degree can take you into that specialisation that's appealing to you. And we'll introduce those specialisations shortly. And who else is this course for? As we've mentioned, it is for part-time professionals or those experienced professionals looking to either upskill or change career. We have lots of people in that situation in our course: hydrogeologists, marketing and communications, waste management officers, council members, scientists, corporate executives. And we really strongly believe that your disciplinary and professional experience is important to the cohort and to the learning. And we build upon it in class, really integrating in the discussions, and that experience is actively used. And I should note at this point that actually also you can apply for credit in recognition of your past studies and experiences. So, you know, you can apply to credit to reduce the duration of the degree from 2 years to 1.5 or even 1 year to recognise that work that you've done before, which is related. And all the details on applying for credit are available via the application portal, or you can actually do it when you're in the course as well. So we're looking for passionate people, people who are passionate about sustainability, but from a whole range of areas, from those who are just out of an undergraduate degree, like Beck, through to those who've been working for some time. Domestic or non-ESOL students can study full-time or part-time, and everyone can commence in either first semester or second semester, and that doesn't affect your course progression. So we've got 2 entry points to suit everyone's needs. All right, so a particular strength of the course, a lot of students tell me they enjoy this, is our advanced practice capstone units, or our Part D component. And the principle for this is that, you know, at the end of your degree, we want you to take all that interdisciplinary knowledge and skills, your specialisation knowledge and skills, and put it together and actually use it on the ground before you move into your new career direction. And so we want you to have a go of that in a professional context, really working on complex real problems. And we feel that real experience and experiential learning are crucial to developing that complex set of skills you'll need in your career and to make real change in the world. So we will move on. So we actually have a range of capstone options to choose from, including a research thesis unit, a sustainability project unit, an interdisciplinary industry consultancy project unit, or a professional internship. And you can choose from amongst those because we know students have different needs, different interests, different goals for their careers. So we want to provide choice so that you can develop those skills that are most relevant to you. So we've got 4 units on screen, and I might invite Wendy now to talk to 2 of the options available.
So the sustainability project is a small group project, and this gives students an opportunity to really delve into a topic that they may have got interested in during their coursework studies, but didn't really have time to get into it in any depth. So the research project allows a small group, between 2, 3, possibly 4 people, to really drill down and do some research about that topic and produce a report, their findings, and present that. The internship basically allows you to go into an organisation and work on a sustainability-related project. So basically, you go in, you work for an organisation. It could be a business, it could be an NGO, it could be a government agency, not-for-profits, small, medium, large consulting organisations. We've covered the full spectrum. And so basically you can go in, you work for about 20 days in that organisation. Pretty typically you're responsible for delivering a few key milestones. Might be producing a report for the organisation, presenting the findings, running some pilots or implementing some strategies and so on. So it really gives you the hands-on experience, particularly useful for people who don't have experience in the sustainability sector and might be transitioning into the sustainability sector, to give them some of that experience so you can put that on your resume. And of course, some of the students who do internships do get offered continuing full-time positions.
Fantastic. All right. I'll speak to the others. So we have ENIS 5900, which is a research thesis in environment and sustainability. So this is a piece of primary academic research with a large assessment at the end, which is an academic thesis that could be potentially published in an academic journal. So this unit is more for those students who maybe see themselves moving into a PhD and are really interested in getting into deep analysis on a topic, whether that's in a science field like water chemistry, or whether it's in policy, or whether it's in a corporate space. You can move into research with one of our wonderful Monash leading researchers in the field. And that unit is you leading the design, you leading the question, you leading the thesis, in collaboration closely in a one-on-one relationship with your academic supervisor. So that's a really rich, intense but rich research experience for those who are thinking about a PhD as the next step. We also have a really exciting unit called ENS 5910, and that's an interdisciplinary industry project for sustainable development solutions. And that is a situation where you are grouped with students in groups of around 3 who have skills that are complementary to yours. So if you come from, say, a strong science background, you might be teamed with a communications and marketing expert and, someone from a policy space. And then you're teamed with a real-life partner from a corporation, or usually a government department, or even a community group who have a real problem. And you've got to act as a consultant in writing up the proposal, creating the solution, and reporting back. So it is a full consultancy experience. You don't get paid for it, but otherwise, it gives you that entry into what the consultancy experience is like, with training along the way. Justin is nodding because I think he's conducting that. You're underway. Can you tell us a bit about your project?
Yeah, so I'm working on a very exciting project, kind of a bit left of field from some of the other ones, which is in a good way,
Yes.
So my team is working on a board game to educate Indonesian students about water-sensitive cities. So it's very interesting because you've got a very complex issue, and then you've got to gamify that in a way that is interesting but entertaining. And as you said, you're in a team with people who have their own expertise to bring, and we're also very fortunate that also extends to having people from different countries, and in this particular case, we're fortunate to have someone from the country that the project is for, which is Indonesia. So in this instance, we're working with real-life partners, so the actual organisation in Indonesia, the Australia-Indonesia Centre here at Australia, Monash University, Monash Sustainable Development Institute. It's very much that real-life agency or consultation type role, and it is very much a balance between training, so upskilling you on project management and consulting, but you do have a lot of room to actually, do it yourself, because that's your capstone, and by that time, you should have a good understanding of how to approach the project, and a lot of freedom, and in this case, creativity as well.
That's fantastic. And that reminds me, Beck, can you tell us a bit about your research thesis experience?
Yeah, so I'm currently writing, the last month actually, is writing my thesis on the history and future of environmentally invasive insects in Australia. And it's been a interesting experience. So it's definitely allowed me to enhance my independent research skills, and to be able to lead my own projects has been a pretty wonderful experience, to be honest. Yeah.
We're lucky Becca's joining us. She's in the throes of academic research right now.
So we do have a question actually from Nico. Hi Nico. This might actually be more relevant for you, Wendy, so I'll read it out for you. There are a couple of questions actually. So we start with, do you have possible businesses for possible internships, and how is the demand for private businesses in general in the Melbourne area for sustainability experts or students?
Okay. So just so you know, at the moment we've got we're advertising internships, Ernst & Young, who have a climate change, or the largest climate change and sustainability services practice in Australia out of the big four consulting companies. We're looking for 4 interns to do internships over summer, so some great opportunities there. At the moment we've got some students doing internships at Melbourne Water, Officeworks, big office supplies company. Have got 3 students doing internships there around supply chain and so on. We've got a student who's based in Thailand working for the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, which is a big biodiversity environmental NGO. So we've got a broad spectrum. So we have a combination of organisations coming to us looking for internships, and we advertise those, and you can apply for those. That's a competitive process. I'd say more than half our students actually source their own internships because they do their research to determine the kind of organisation they might like to work for and get experience at. So we help students do that in terms of our network of contacts that we have in organisations. But we do tend to find students like to target specific organisations to do that. But yeah, we've had them in banks and mining companies. We've had internships in Telstra, in Qantas, so the full spectrum. And yes, businesses are looking for interns because after all, it's, you know, they're getting some work done for free.
All right. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Nico. That's fantastic. All righty, so on to the next slide. Just briefly, broadly speaking, the degree focuses on the following learning outcomes, which we feel are critical for preparing students to make change. Oh, yes. There we go. Thank you. Across a variety of settings that we've spoken about and work environments in the quite broad field of sustainability. And our aim is to prepare graduates to move into a whole range of different strategic leadership roles in settings like policy formulation, big corporations like Tesla or NAB, regulation, governance, right through from local council to, you know, national levels, natural resource management, NGOs and NPOs, roles like WWF and World Bank roles, right through to startups and social entrepreneurship. Students, we really encourage you to sit with us in the education team to map out your unit selections based on where you ideally see yourself in that space to really tailor to you. Or a little bit more dry, nuts and bolts stuff now. Thanks, Justin. So what does our course structure actually look like? So we do offer many options so you can tailor to your needs. And there are various elective options you can pick and choose across specialisations to get a complementary match, like Rosie has done. But in brief form, the course has 4 parts. Part A provides all your foundational knowledge, and we might go to the next slide here. Yes, beautiful. Across the disciplines, or across the social dimensions, economy and environmental knowledge and skills. So that's your interdisciplinary base and creates that broad awareness and boundary spanning capacity. And now we move into part B and C, and that's where you really specialise in your area of choice, choosing 8 units from your specialisation list in study.monash, and you have a lot of choice even within your specialisation. And again, we'll talk about those specialisations shortly. And in part D, as we've heard, this is where you apply what you learn in an authentic setting to gain experience and employability skills. All right, thank you, Justin, and next slide. So the course is overall 96 credit points, or 2 years full time. That's full duration, with each part being 24 points. But you can apply, as we mentioned, for credit to take a 72 or 48 point version. So that's a 1.5 or 1 year duration rather than 2 years. And you can feel free to contact me to ask about that later, about your individual situation. We know everyone's different. If you have a related bachelor's or master's to the specialisation that you're interested in, you could apply and you may be eligible for what we call entry level 2, which is you skip part B or the preparation for your specialisation because you already are ready to go. You've got that background. If you have an honours year perhaps or a significant research experience related to your specialisation, then you can apply for credit and you may be eligible for the 1-year duration of the degree to get your qualification. So we have students in both those categories and many in the 96. All right, so next, what would a typical 96 credit point course look like? So this is just an example up on screen, but please take this as a guideline because many variations are possible, as the people around me will attest to. We have, again, up on screen, your Part A course, which I referred to, which builds your capacity for interdisciplinarity. And that Part A brings students from across the streams together. So we find that really, really great for building your community as well and getting to know all the professionals in your new network. Then you have Part B, where you prepare for your specialisation and then specialise in Part C, undertaking generally 3 units or 18 credit points in your specialisation area, plus an elective, which could be a unit from a different specialisation that you think is going to complement. So all our specialisations are complementary, and you want to mix them a little using your elective spots to give you a good skill set for the goal that you have in mind, I would suggest. And again, we've got Part D shown on screen, which is that practice year in an industry reflective or research sense. All right, so next up on screen, what could a 1.5 or 72-point duration course look like? And this is a quick example for a student who might be taking environmental security stream, which is environmental science and management. So this student has gained credit to skip Part B and they go straight to their Part C specialisation. All students take Part A, which is shown in blue, that's your foundation. In environmental security, Part C in green, you'll specialise to explore issues like biodiversity, climate change and energy security, and water security and environmental pollution. And you might choose an elective. This student might take a leadership unit to complement their career development. You could take one from international development or governance or corporate, for example. And this student is undertaking, here you can see on screen, a 12 credit point internship and 2 electives from the wide variety on offer. So there's a lot of options there. It can be slightly overwhelming sometimes, but we, come see us and we can map this out for you. All right, so next, what are our 5 forward-thinking specialisations? And some of these can't be found in any other degrees here in Australia. So I'm just going to run through these really quickly, but I encourage you to look online and maybe some in the room can speak to these after I've run through. So perhaps, getting in your headspace, you would like to train up to be a sustainability sort of strategic officer in a big organisation, corporation. Then this stream might be the one for you. So this is for people who'd like to work in the corporate space, to learn about economic challenges, business solutions, and how to lead new innovative strategies and initiatives. And the units, the specialist units up on screen there, will prepare you with skills in management, measurement, and regulation. And they're highly reflective of what's happening in the corporate field right now. And there's a lot of guests who come in. And of course, there are electives you can take in areas like social entrepreneurship and marketing and so on. Wendy, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think you summarised it very well.
Oh, good. And Wendy, as we mentioned before, is the coordinator for that stream and a great touchstone if you have questions. Lovely. And of course, you also can, beautiful, check out the handbook for this specialisation so you can see all the options there on screen. All right, so maybe you're more interested in making change in policy, working in council, a government ministry, maybe in the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning. So if you gel with this, working in making change through new regulation at any level to enable responsible actions, this specialisation might be the one for you. And the units up on screen there will, listed up on screen there, will prepare you with skills and policy and tools used in governmental management, like environmental impact assessment skills, analysis, regulation and citizenship. And again, the curriculum is based on current needs in government and the types of assessments and regulatory structures you'll need to understand given that. All right, next. So maybe you're more interested in the technical side of things and the science, and in that case, I'd recommend environmental security, and having that more maybe quantitative understanding might give you the edge in business or corporate or consultancy or communication jobs. So this specialisation might be a little bit more for people who see themselves working in environmental science, whether that's in consultancy or governance, to guide and manage the protection of the natural environment. So the units up on screen there, which I alluded to before, go into climate, water, security, energy, and all those kinds of things. These units do include some science, but it's at a level appropriate for all. And the focus, there is some technical stuff there, but the focus is really more on how you take that and integrate it and use it in decision-making in government or corporations. So it's not just theory, it's very much use, and some really great field trips as well. All right, so perhaps next up, social equity is more your passion. You are interested in gender or poverty or sustainable development contexts. So if you're interested in international development and environment and people from local to national programs, if you want to create social and ecological resilience and development actions on the ground, this could be the specialisation for you. And the units that you undertake, which are listed up on screen, build skills in political ecology and really drill down into the core principles of international development. And some wonderful lecturers in that space, including Julian.
And so students who do that stream like to work in development agencies. You'll be aware of people like Oxfam and World Vision, some of the big ones, but there's a lot of very small ones who specialise in different areas like water, disaster recovery, and so on.
Absolutely. Thank you, Wendy. Yeah. All right. And the last one. So this is for people who want to work in any area of leadership. Often people are like, right, I just want to get into it now. I want to take action. So you might be interested in change management. You might be interested in human behaviour and how you change human behaviour. Bit of psychology. You might want to develop yourself as a leader for a new role in corporate or governance or any area of interest, really. And specialisation gives you tools to analyse complexity, to understand what drives certain behaviours that are problematic, and to identify the right sort of interventions and action plans that you'll need to put in place to influence and create momentum and lead change in society from individual behaviour to organisational shifts. So leadership at different scales. So the units that you take in this particular specialisation will prepare you with skills in processes to influence change, human behaviour and personal leadership capacity, and all are very focused on designing interventions. Do you have anything else to add, guys, to that one? Sounds about right.
I personally, as I said earlier, when I read about the leadership specialisation, I was like, excellent, this is for me. Yeah. And I started doing that and I loved it. But then I chose a corporate unit as an elective because I've not come from a corporate background and I wanted to fill in some of my knowledge gaps. And then I was like, wow, this is like really tangible and I can actually go and use this in my life and career. And so then I was like, oh, how can I do the two of them? And then I had to figure out my units, like working together, and I could actually do both. And I found the leadership specialisation has, even if you could just do 1 or 2 units as an elective, it just complements the rest of the course.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Very nice. Alrighty. So, close to finishing up this part now. So, what careers can you pursue after graduating? We've covered a bit of a range already, I think, but just to summarise, this course can provide skills and knowledge for a very broad range of different strategic leadership roles across sectors. And the hard part for some students might be trying different fields in the course to get a sense of what they really love and what they're going to specialise in and where their passions lie. So for some students, they come in, they're like, I like all these specialisations, and sort of figure out the main one along the way. So that can be a really great pathway for some students. Others know exactly where they're going and, have one main specialisation in mind. there is some flexibility there. Yes, students move into a whole range of roles. Some of our most recent graduates have moved into roles at Tesla, Melbourne Water, the Climate Council, IUCN. So there's a whole range of career outcomes for some students, which is great. All right, so I've come to the end of the nuts and bolts section now, but I'd just like to remind you, we do have more resources online, and you're very welcome to get in touch with us as well. And we will follow up after this webinar with a few of the links that we've discussed today. Next slide, let's go to this one. This is what study.monash looks like. So this is where you go for direct applications by hitting the little blue button there that is apply now. And direct applications are now open for both international and domestic students for 2019, for starting in either semester 1 or semester 2, so February or June, July, as suits you. And to apply, it's a one-button process to get you started. And it's a relatively quick and easy process for most people. It requires you to upload your academic transcripts, and in some cases proof of identity, and also English language requirements, depending on where you might be coming from. And others might use agents, but we do have direct applications also. And we're really thrilled to let you know also that for all students commencing in 2019, we are offering an $8,000 bursary, which is automatically deducted from your first year fees. So yeah, that's really exciting, and we're delighted to offer that. All right, so thank you so much for listening. Now, before we open up to your Q&A, I'd like to turn to our panel and just ask one last question. And maybe we've already covered this. Thank you for jumping in throughout. Maybe I'll start with you, Justin.
Okay.
My question is, what has been, the most special feature or moment, or most useful feature or moment for you in the course? Or what's something that's...
What's your highlight?
Yeah, what's your highlight? Good, Rosie.
I would have to say it is the interdisciplinary project that I'm doing at the moment,
Nice.
just because it's something tangible.
Yeah.
And, you work hard on lots of different subjects, and they have assignments which are very fulfilling, but actually to work on something that is creating
Impact.
a real impact is very fulfilling, especially in an area where there are environmental and social benefits that will flow on from that. So, and I think we get that from any of the capstone units, because they are very practical and tangible.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Go ahead.
One of the aspects, again, that comes from the corporate stream, but just being able to, one thing that I really appreciated is being able to read and, through sustainability reports, or see corporations or advertising or whatever, but being able to read through the greenwashing and actually, where's the actual sustainability going on here? Where's the accountability? And actually hold people accountable, or try to hold people accountable. But yeah, that's probably the highlight for me. So it's actual tangible stuff I can use.
And you literacy.
Yeah.
I like
That's another aspect, is being able to communicate science.
Yeah.
So when I was doing science, I was in it, but now I feel like I have the skills to actually communicate it to other people.
Fantastic. What about you, Beck?
Well, mine's going to sound incredibly corny, but I honestly would say it's the people within this course. Especially the people in our course are just so friendly, so welcoming, so ready to have a conversation with you no matter what it's about. If you need help, people are always there for it. Our educators are absolutely fantastic. They are always there ready to be able to help you if you need a helping hand. And yeah, sorry, that really does sound corny when I say that out loud, doesn't it?
That's the whole thing.
I can think
But research is pretty fun too.
And one more thing on top of the educators as well, in addition, a lot of programs and degrees, educators aren't particularly passionate about, their passion doesn't transfer, whereas your passion, we can see it every time you teach in sustainability, so it inspires us.
It's true. We're a very passionate lot. Yeah. What about you, Wendy? Or specific
Oh, goodness. I think the highlights for me are the students. I mean, I think...
Wendy.
I wouldn't be able to keep teaching into this course. I've been teaching sustainability for 10 years across different programs or more. And that's what keeps me coming back, is the interaction with the students, because you guys are the change agents. We just teach it and research it. You guys are going to go out and do it. And that's terribly exciting to actually, and I bump into my past students all the time, and they're now sustainability managers in big companies and having real impacts, and that's really fantastic. It's so exciting to see that. And I get emails from students sort of saying, you know, all that stuff you taught me, I'm using it and I'm really making change, you know, so that makes me happy.
I think that, absolutely. It's very inspiring to see what students do, and it's such a privilege to work with people who are that passionate and that giving. So yeah, I feel very, very lucky too. And also I just love seeing the cohorts build relationships together, and I just feel like, okay, you know, you guys in the course currently, you're going to all be in the professional space and be this amazing professional network into the future and bump into each other at the UN, I hope. So yes, that's really wonderful. All right, so how are we going for time? Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got some questions.
We've got some questions. Fantastic. We've got about 10 minutes, so maybe we'll get Justin to read them out.
Yes.
Justin.
Yeah, the one and only. So, the first question was to know if any of the academic staff have a background in carbon markets.
That might be one for Wendy to start with.
No, but we've actually had students do internships in carbon market. I can't remember the name of the actual institute, but we've had a couple of internships with students doing work with carbon markets. And also we have a climate change research hub, communications hub, that touch on a bit of that. And the climate works as well.
Yes, exactly.
So while we don't have direct experience, we do have an elective in which looks at carbon markets, and that's taught by our colleagues in Monash Sustainable Development Institute and the business faculty. So that does touch on carbon markets. Yeah.
Okay, the next question is about MSDI and how that relates to the master's degree. Are there activities or work within that space?
Yeah, fantastic. Yes, well, the leadership specialisation is led by educators and experts from the Monash Sustainable Development Institute, and also in our capstone unit, MSDI are active in that space and supervising in research, also in the interdisciplinary project and throughout. So there's a lot of strong links. And what I love about this course in a lot of the units, people across the different faculties in the institute who are involved with the degree will pop in and out of the different units. We have some, you know, co-teaching and integration. So I would say it's all sort of taught together. So they're sort of imbued throughout, really,
and in fact,
particularly in their leadership stream.
Yeah, in fact, MSDI have also taken internships over the years to work on different projects. In particular, we had a couple of students working on the Sustainable Development Goals, the Sustainable Development Solutions Network, and particularly worked on youth education projects around the Sustainable Development Goals. So there is that one-on-one engagement as well as the broader engagement in terms of the teaching.
So the next question was in regard to flexibility of study. So they'd like to know, they're currently working, is there any flexibility with classes? Are classes offered online or in the evening?
Most units in the course, it depends on the specialisation you're doing, I would say, but in the majority of the streams, there are evening classes which are designed to come after your work day, and a typical 6-point unit would have a sort of 2 contact units and then online components like videos or podcasts or work or group work that supplements that. But it does, to a certain degree, depend on your specialisation and mixture of units. The corporate specialisation in particular and the governance have evening sessions.
And the leadership.
And the leadership has evening and block mode.
And block mode.
That's right, where you've got an intensive period over, you know, a few weekends or, you know, Fridays and Saturdays, within a shorter period that can help with the work situation. And, you know, our Part A units run, you know, in one afternoon or 2 evenings. So there's a variety of offerings, but generally with professionals in mind, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, we don't have any at the moment. There is a Q&A button you can press
Yes.
if you have anything. Yeah, so anyone who's reached out in the chat, please pop it in the Q&A, just so everyone can listen to the answer to your question.
Absolutely. I've got some frequently asked questions that I can bring to the table, perhaps. So the first one I sometimes get is, I don't know which specialisation I want to do, but I want to apply. Do I have to know which specialisation I want to do when I apply? I can give the answer, or Wendy, would you like to find out?
The simple answer is no, you don't. When you actually come into the course, we are very happy to sit down. We'll actually run an enrolment session where you can turn up and ask questions. We encourage you to do one-on-one meetings with the coordinators and help you design the project. So if you really don't know or you're interested in all the specialisations, that's fine. We can help you design a project. And like Rosie, we can help you to, you know, complete 2 specialisations or a mix and match. One specialisation and units from all the other specialisations. So basically we sort of say, what do you want to get out of this program? Where might you want to go with this program? And then let's design, you know, something that works for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. A second frequently asked question I get is, and I've sort of answered this already, but I'm just going to reiterate, do I have to have a science background to enter this course? No, you don't. No, you don't. But if you don't have a science background and you want to move into the science stream, you can still do that. So there's the preparation for it. But a lot of the other specialisations are more social science, corporate areas, so you certainly don't need a science background. Another frequently asked question I get is, do I have to know my full course plan and have it locked up when I start the degree? You know, so you know which capstone you're going to do at the end when you're coming in. Anyone want to answer that?
The answer's no. So I personally have been trying to find an internship with a company that I share the same values with, but I'm having a bit of trouble, so that I'm still looking for that. But if that doesn't work out for me, I've got the research project in mind for next semester.
Absolutely.
Where I can work on something.
The great thing is you can alter your unit selections semester by semester. So really you only have to have your first semester in place when you enter in, and then we work with you before you start to get that in place. And then as you taste different streams, you can alter as you go along. So if you don't know yet whether you want to do the research thesis as a pathway to a PhD at the end, or you know, an internship, that's absolutely no problem, because you have the full degree to think about it and to talk to us and to talk to students.
Cool. So we have a question from William, hello, who'd like to know, can we take electives from different faculties?
Lovely. Good question. We have had a number of cases where that's occurred. In that situation, because it's a little shift from what's listed in the handbook, we do ask students to make a case for that, for why those particular electives really align with their career goal and with their specialisation, and how that's going to complement, and then we then assess that. So there are certainly students who have gone into electives in that space, particularly if they have a background in the areas like IT or engineering. They might want to, you know, get new skills in civil engineering, for example. So depending on your background, and you know, if you're willing to write a one-page report to justify that, and then assessment, it can definitely be an option. Yeah.
And the great thing is that you come across people from all different faculties who take some of the same electives that you do. So it's good to actually have that, I guess, that cross-faculty engagement where you see people who are interested in sustainability but doing certain subjects, or people who are doing IT who'd like to learn more about sustainability. So you definitely see people from other faculties regardless of which electives you choose to take.
Yeah, that's a positive. Fantastic.
Okay. Hannah, with internships, do you guys assist with following up with organisations if we'd like to work with them?
Thanks, Hannah. Good question.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have a database that we maintain of all the organisations that we've done internships with in the past. So if there are organisations that you might be interested in exploring internship options, then yeah, we can help you with, organising that. If there are organisations that we don't have contacts with, we can still work through our networks and see if we can come up with a contact. Often students will have experience working in different sectors and organisations, so that's a great network to tap as well.
Absolutely. For example, Josh, who's now working at Delmuk, government organisation, was able to create a pathway for Jenny, I think, or make that initial contact that led to a really nice placement for her, which was beautiful.
Yeah. We also tend to keep in contact with past students, our alum, and we'll often tap them on the shoulder to see if they're interested in taking interns. But they've also, past students have come to me looking for interns as well. So that's happened a number of times.
Okay. That's a good question.
Yeah. Mine's split into two, actually. The first one is student-to-teacher ratio in the course.
That's a really good question. So we really feel, at master's level, students should be leading in the classroom. There should be active discussions. And so for the specialist units, they're quite small cohorts for some of the specialisations. So the environmental security at the moment, they're probably 35 to 40.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, and there might be 2 educators in the room usually at one time, but it does vary. In our Part A course, because that's where everyone comes together, we have often around 50 to 60, and then we'll have 2 or 3 educators in the room at that time. You're also doing group work. The capstone cohorts tend to be the smallest, because you're doing something quite specialised and something quite applied, so you need that additional support. So, for example, in the research thesis cohort, we might have 8 per semester of people who are highly motivated to do research. And just in interdisciplinary
We've got 11.
11?
Yeah, very small.
Yeah, exactly, with Celine and maybe some other educators coming in to help. And the internship with Wendy, you've got...
I think we've got about 10 this semester. 2 of them are doing international overseas, 8 domestic, but we actually have about 15 over summer, so summer's a popular time to do internships.
So it varies a bit. So, for our... kind of get smaller cohorts as you go along the course, I would say, to end in a more... Intimate's not the right word, but a more interactive setting towards the end of the degree.
If you don't mind me adding, as well, even though, for example, for the Part A classes, even though there are 50 to 60 people in it, you might seem quite big at first, but I found that it actually worked really well because we were able to meet so many different people, and to be able to meet those people that were outside of your discipline, it was really good to be able to collaborate and work with so many people. And to be honest, it wasn't that big to me.
No, exactly. And you're often, having discussions in small teams within a session, a lot of activity.
A lot of collaborative work.
Absolutely. And we had just one more question. I know we've got to finish up soon.
So just the second question we'll finish on, which was in terms of assessment. So what's the mix of written versus oral, exams, assessment, how does that all work?
That's a great question. That's a one we get a lot, particularly from people who are like, I don't want to set endless exams within the course. And because the program is more about getting you ready for the workforce, where written and verbal communications tends to be most prominent, a lot of your assessment is mirroring the types of written work that you'll be doing in the workplace. So a white paper, a policy, or a corporate report, the type of short presentation you need to do at a stakeholder meeting, for example. So there aren't many units with exams. Sometimes there are mini quizzes throughout some units to just encourage you to keep up with your reading, but it tends to be larger reports and some presentations around it, I would say. Does that sound around accurate? Yeah, it's a bit of a diversity, but mainly work reflective type assessments, stuff you'll actually be doing in your role. All right, thank you for your amazing questions. It's now 1 minute past when we're supposed to close up. So I want to thank you so much, everyone, Nico, everyone who's asked questions and everyone watching. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please do get in contact with Wendy, myself, or Monash if you have any questions at all. And we will send you a follow-up email to make that easier for you to do. Thank you for your passion and have a great day or evening.
See ya.